bought this Tundra R last year, and I've had a few adventures with it. Up mountains, down mountains, flat ground, deep snow, hard packed trail. So I wanted to do kind of a in-field review. And also, sorry if there's wind. Like I said, I'm in the middle of a swamp in waist deep snow. So, get started. Number one, there's been a whole lot of hype about these machines lately. From the first ones, I think the first model Tundras were from the 70s or the 80s up until I want to say like 2005 when this model ends, and now there's even like a build-up of hype, I guess you could say, or I guess a whole lot of interest in the more modern Tundras and Scandics and pretty much utility sleds. So these things, well, for all those matters and everything that all the big old interest that just skyrocketed in about 2 years, that caused the prices to also skyrocket. These things I think were about $3,000 when they came out new. I checked for mine's a 2002. So about it was 3,000, 3,200, whichever option you took. And now they've pretty much almost doubled in price. And for used ones, new ones like 2021 models are around $20,000, which is out of my budget. But now let's get started with the review. So, people claim that these things can go anywhere. So let me just tell you guys that from past experience, from yesterday, from last year, since I've had this thing, I'll tell you guys where they cannot go, because people say that they can go anywhere. So let's just get this out of the way if you're looking to buy one. These cannot go uphill. It's a fact. They cannot go uphill. They do not have the track speed to go uphill. They do not have the track tread to go uphill. It just doesn't work. There are ways now. People are going to be appalled, but there are ways to get around this. I know there is. I've done it. So yes, you cannot go uphill. You will need to make a nice packed trail, forward, reverse. So, number two. These are not high-performance snowmobiles. Like, as I am right now, if I would just give gas, obviously it's not like super high-end injection turbo engine like the modern ones, so the gas response, throttle response, I should say, isn't immediate. So that causes, a little bit of lag, which is fine, but there's just enough throttle to get stuck. So like I said, the same reason you can't go uphill, track speed, there's not enough paddles on the track to launch yourself out of a hole. It's not a Summit, it's not a Polaris Chaos or whatever you have, it's just not that. This is a pure utility hunting sled, and it is absolutely the best in its class for what it does. I know there's Bravos, Yamaha Bravos, and Bearcats if that's what you're into, but today we're talking about the Tundra. So, can't go up mountains. You just can't give it full throttle because you will get stuck. And the maneuverability on these things, it's not really this is like a 2.5, because it is a downside to some people, and to others it's not. High performance snowmobiles, you'll lean it, you'll carve out the side, and you'll just give her some gas, and it'll rip out pretty much the hole that you're in. You'll bust a quick 180 and be out of there, no problem. This you need to do wide turns, because there is no, like I said, not a lot of track tread and just not enough track speed. So that might be a downside to some people. For example, if you're in the forest and there's deep snow, there could be a ledge, a cliff, a tree, you don't want to go there. Well, you're going to have to do a very quick turn to get around this. What you do, well, you slow down or just stop in your tracks, lean to one side, give it some gas, slowly, and you won't get stuck. So now, on to the review itself. Alright, so for my specific Tundra, this is a Tundra R 2002. It is pretty much mint condition. I paid top dollar for this last year. The prices have since gone up, so I'm happy I got it last year. The only defect that I had when it got was this little crack right here in the cab, but the man before me fixed it up really nice, like some, fiberglass or epoxy. I don't know what he put on the other side. That's not going anywhere. Well, that's the only defect that I had. So yeah, now to pretty much go over the, I guess, options that I have on it. To my knowledge, these are not the original skis for the Tundra. I think they had like little dinky plastic loops or something. So I've been told on forums that these are Scandic skis that got swapped out at some point. From like 18 or 19 years ago, they got swapped out. So that's fine. They're big steel skis. They work great for me. I also have some 8-inch ski skins on it, which I really like. Adds a whole lot of flotation. You can see if I start walking here, the more I move, the more I start sinking. Like I'm at my knees now, so I'll just keep sinking and sinking. And under me now it's ice. It's beaver dams, so it should be safe. The suspension is the famous Tundra, Scandic suspension. You don't have massive, like to go in trails, massive suspension arms or anything. It's good old pogo suspension, which causes it to be very tippy, which I'll go over that right after this. The engine in here is a 300. That's what's advertised as, but it is a 277cc. The old ones, the earlier models in the 80s were 250s. So this has a bigger engine. And by the way, before I forget, the sled weighs dry right about like 330 pounds, I want to say. So extremely light, extremely maneuverable. If that's what you're looking for, I mean, I would highly suggest it. So moving on, windshield. Mine is not cracked, it's not scratched, it's pretty much brand new. If you're looking for windshields, I might be looking for one. This is a 16-inch, I think. I'd like a 24. The 24 was an extra option on, I believe, the Trapper models. They had 24-inch windshields. I'm about 6'1", 6'2", and the windshield comes right about under my nose, so even with the helmet, you kind of eat the wind right in the teeth, so a little bit uncomfortable. Under the hood, like I said, 300cc or 277, same thing. Mine is all original, so I do have the oil system. I don't think I'll delete this, just because I like just going to the gas station if I'm on a trail, let's say, or something, and just gassing up. I know people say, oh, the only thing that's going to kill this sled is if you run out of oil. Because what happens is these screws here, they're Phillips head, so star screwdriver. They will get loose, and there is a plastic gear in here that connects to this oil pump right here. And if these screws back out, the plastic gear does not engage into like the crank of the engine itself. So the gear stops spinning, which that gear is pretty much the little engine or the vacuum that activates the pump that sucks the oil into the engine, so then you'll be running pure gas in the engine and will burn it. Seize the piston. So that's the downside. So people pretty much just cut these hoses off, just unplug all the hoses pretty much, drain the oil out of the tank, and even maybe cut the top off so you have a warm place to put your gloves. So that's always something to consider, I guess, if that's what you're into. On the other side, you guys can see this, yes you can. Over here, I have tools in there. It's a little toolbox. So yeah, I have like a cheap set of tools I got like a hardware store, pliers, whatever. I have the original tool to dismantle this thing. It's like a chainsaw style tool, so pretty much It has like a Phillips head on it. I think flat head on one side and like the standard nuts to disassemble the entire engine and such. So you could break down the snowmobile just with that little tool. Could take a while, but it's possible. So yeah, that's pretty much it for the engine itself. Past the hood, under the handlebars, the cab itself. It's a very simple design, very minimalistic. No, not very many wires. You have a key on the left side. This is just me. I added some saddlebags, bought them at a hardware store. It's for an ATV. Gas tank cap bags, I think they were. They sell on Amazon, I checked, but me was just cheaper at the hardware store. My model has the speedometer. Some people don't have the speedometer, but they'll have heated handlebars. I don't have heated handlebars. Some people have a speedometer, heated handlebars, but no reverse. I have speedometer and a nice reverse. The reverse on these things, guys, is a lifesaver. I hopefully this sled never dies, but if the reverse gives out, it's going to be a huge bummer. I'll have to fix it somehow. But it just works great. Crank is on this side over here, and I have my little primer. So pretty much how this works when it's cold is so far when it's pretty warm, right? So like today, like -5, -6, 2 pumps, crank starts first shot. And if it's really cold, like -20, like the other day, it's pretty much 2 pumps, crank doesn't start, then 1 more pump, so 3rd pump, crank starts first shot. Oh yeah, I have low beams, high beams. You have your standard emergency shut off there. And on this side also, there is the little lanyard to put on yourself. I don't even think I've gone like super fast in here. You know, I definitely don't need this thing in the woods, getting tangled in branches and such. But I guess in trails, if you go, it could be useful. Also, to mention, now that I'm just sitting here, top speed on here, hard packed snow at, let's say, -5 degrees. So it's pretty warm for a snowmobile. I would say like 60 kilometers an hour, that is. So I don't know what that is. I think 40 miles an hour. So pretty slow, I think. So 60 kilometers an hour. So hard packed, -20. The engine is just sucking in all that cold air. I would say, I've done it I think 2 days ago, 75, 80 down the hill. So you pick up a significant amount of speed. And in powder like today, -5, like if I'd full throttle right out of here, I'd probably go around 40. Like I said, not enough paddles, no traction on the track to just go that fast. And yeah. Also, I think people swap out the track, but you need to swap out the buggies and everything and put like an old one from like a, I don't know what, some type of like old Polaris or something to get. I think it's like a 146-inch track or whatever, but I don't know. So you can clear the sprockets and whatever's underneath there. I don't know. So if you try to put a bigger track on here, if you could find one by miracle somewhere, well, if you think it's like 1.25 inches, I think the biggest one that they built today, and you just won't clear the tunnel underneath and everything. You'll just scrap your track. So don't try it; doesn't work. So for track and tunnel itself now. I added on the foot rails, you can't see them right now because they're iced in, but they work still. I added some aluminum so they don't rust. There we go. I added some little grippy things here. Made them just out of aluminum angle iron, I guess, and bolted them down to the existing hole so I didn't have to drill anything. They're a little bit bent because they're aluminum, so steel would have been better, but it also would have been ugly because it would have rusted. So I don't want none of that. Yeah. So track is a 136, I think, 139. I don't know why you got a brain fart. I can't remember. I think it's a 139-inch track. So long track, 3/4 inch, 15-inch wide. So factory, like mine is absolutely factory new, my track. And yeah, it's a 3/4 inch track. So like I said, not a great amount of traction, but it still gets the job done, no problem. So for the rear end of this thing, you have your classic, Tundra or utility snowmobile rack. These things never really came out with any container, so people usually take milk crates and such. I just did a nice plywood box, pretty much keep gas in there, a mechanical winch if I have to get myself out. Hopefully I never need to use it yet, but hopefully I'll never ever use it. So you have a brake light, a rear light, so yeah, and a rear bumper. I don't know if you guys can see this, but at the bottom here you have a rear bumper with a tow hitch, or a towing spot, I guess you could say. Big enough to just put your classic sled attachments. And these things, as people will ask, a snowmobile weighs about 300 pounds, like I said before, 340, 350, give or take. But you could haul like a quart of wood with this, and no issue. It's quite strong. They're geared down pretty much. But yeah, so they're easy and super fun to use. I'll show you guys here. Okay, so I don't know how this is going to go, but just to show you guys how tippy they are. I am in pretty soft snow, so I could just sink myself down. But if I would, just to shift my weight, and I weigh like 100 pounds, I'm like a feather. So the heavier you are, the easier this is, or even the more dangerous it becomes. But I'm not turning my skis. I could do this in the garage at my house, or even on asphalt or whatever on a trail. You just switch your weight to the side, and the entire sled comes. It's extremely easy to maneuver. So let's say there's a tree, there's anything, just giving gas a little bit around, no problem whatsoever. It's good for powder like this, I guess you could say. But for trailer riding, extremely, extremely dangerous. You can't take any sharp corners, or even just a corner like above 30 or 40 kilometers an hour, because you're tipping. I don't care if you say, oh yeah, I know how to lean on my snowmobile, I know my machine. Me too, and you will just ejectocito right out of there. The skis lift up right away, and you just pretty much have no more traction, and you will miss your turn. Yeah, very easy. Like I said, I'll give you guys a quick demo here. I'll try to just get out of here, back up, reverse, show you guys the reverse, whatever. But I sunk myself a decent amount here, so I'll show you guys that. Okay, so it's pretty convenient. Just taking off now, 10 seconds ago. Show you guys the reverse and such. I sunk. So one thing with Tundras is that if you're not spinning, you're not stuck. So now I should be, I moved a little bit, but I should be like half stuck. So I fell through right there.